of everything that we do moving forward if we're to be relevant, if a new administration is to be relevant and meaningful to some of the communities that have hurt the most. They're found on the west side of Chicago. We have visited people there, we have talked to people, we have met people who have been in very difficult situations, and the biggest problem is poverty and the roots of poverty and everything that emanates from poverty in terms of creating unhealthy environments and conditions. And it affects everyone. It affects children who have a difficult time getting a good education because they're bringing conditions in their environment into the classroom. They aren't receiving the type of support that they need. They're dealing with the street violence. The teachers in the public schools are having to work with all those challenges in front of them, oftentimes without adequate resources to be able to make an impact and educate those children and address the additional supports that they desperately need. We've sat with formerly incarcerated individuals who, because of the drug wars and the availability of drugs in the communities, and this isn't just the west side by any stretch of the imagination, it's the southwest side, it's the south side, many communities, it's the far south side also, it's southeast Chicago too. We've met with people who have told us that had they had an opportunity to a job 20 years ago, they wouldn't have been in jail. That they could have made a greater difference. So the struggle for jobs is critical. And the role of public safety bodies like police is also very challenging, and given the conditions of poverty in the community, a huge gap and abyss has been created in these communities where people see the police to a great extent as unfriendly occupying forces who simply ride by, lights on, never ask how you're doing, and so on and so forth. And it makes it very challenging because of the different views that people hold on this. The affected communities, especially the impoverished communities, and the police, and the lack of ability to create space to have even honest conversations, much less so to establish relationships of trust and mutual respect. And recognizing all of those things is the difficult challenge of how to put together a political platform that will enable one to make a case throughout the city and create enough relationships of trust where you can band together across race, across ethnicity, across geography, across sexual orientation, across all of those things, and come together and coincide in a political expression of people power for democracy to move in a progressive direction. So it's very challenging, I just want you to know. And because we are among friends, I wanted to share that and to acknowledge some of the weaknesses thus far. We will be moving forward as we get a little more clarity, as we try to chart the path to win. Because unless we can pull together a winning strategy and coalition, we won't have the levers of power. We're also getting ready to withstand a really hard negative campaign that will come from the millionaires and the billionaires. It's already started. So I hope that you share the difficulty and the complexity that I'm trying to process in the campaign. I ask for your continued counsel, even when you think that I'm not paying attention, when you think that we have shut you out, stop listening. I haven't. I continue to toil with some of your counsel, with some of your critiques. When I get home, as I'm trying to go to sleep, when I wake up early in the morning, that before I get to the coffee maker, I'm thinking about what you've told me. Okay? As I'm riding in the car, going to my next event, trying to figure out how I'm going to fire up that group, I'm thinking and toiling with that. So this isn't a perfect situation. And please do not forget that we've only been at this for 2.5 months, if I'm not mistaken. And we got 39 days to pull it off. But I hear you. I feel you. And please keep it coming. Keep it coming. It is having an impact. We're trying to find a way. But I think that we have what it takes to put together a coalition that Harold dreamed about. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's not about this man. It's about what we've learned as we've been traveling through the desert, through the drought, over the past 26 years since Harold Washington died. But I think that all of us have learned more. I think that Chicago is different from what it was in 1983, what it was in 1987. We may still have deep biases in us, deep prejudice, things that don't allow us to look that much farther, but I think most people do see farther. And part of the reason that we've got a better lens, and I think everyone has a slightly at least better lens, some have a real good lens, is because of the class war that we've experienced since the Great Recession. People understand what is at stake. They understand their class interest. People on the Northwest side and the Southwest side have come to truly understand why pensions are a very important thing, not just for Americans, for everyone in the world. It's about security. It's about being able that you will be there, that you will have shelter, that you will have food, that you will have access to health care. People are coming around to understanding what Obamacare is trying to achieve, as imperfect as it is, that we need to go further. People understand Medicare. People understand Social Security. So I think the conditions for being able to win and to create a government that is about returning the priorities of the city and addressing the city's most fundamental needs is something that people agree upon. We have limitations, such as the structural deficit that we suffer from, Illinois being a regressive taxation state, an unfair system of taxation that is not progressive and isn't income-based. And the same thing is, it has implications on important systems like our school system, our public school system, which has been starved for such a long time, that pits people against each other, neighborhoods against each other, one side against another side, because there haven't been policies of equity in place. But we will move in the right direction with respect to that. We continue to talk about the criminal justice system and about disproportionate impact That conversation has been furthered at Cook County as we've sought to shed light on the war on drugs and incarceration, thanks to Ms. Alexander, who has enlightened many of us all over the country with her book, The New Jim Crow. And Jim Crow isn't just about black people, it's about brown people, and it's about white people too. It's about the poor not having access to justice. So all of those things will continue to be the things that guide us as we move forward and as we seek to find the path that is an alternative to the corporate agenda that we've come to experience and know, particularly over the past 4 years. It didn't begin 4 years ago. It goes further back than that. It goes back at least 2.5 decades as we took many of the city's most important resources of our tax dollars and we invested them in the central city center, in the downtown area. The downtown area is doing fine, doing real well. As a matter of fact, the challenge now is how we create the conditions for prosperity, for peace in the neighborhoods that will give us a chance to enjoy the good things that many of the people who live downtown are enjoying today, but have been elusive to working class and poor communities all over Chicago. Thank you very much.